So class division started hurting people. King's diseases started to become a thing. Diabetes, again, this kind of metabolic disease, being overweight, getting freaking heart disease as the number one killer like ever in the history of humankind is a King's disease. These are all, it's funny, like all of our number one killers are lifestyle diseases. They're King's diseases. They come from lifestyles of excess. So that's why in this day and age, almost any kind of fasting is going to be good for you, provided that you don't throw your body out of homeostasis by doing it too much. You want a little bit of stress, not a crazy amount of stress that your body cannot handle. That's why you have to listen to your body, because only you know where your body's at. Okay? Being in close confines, we've got to mention this, being in close confines with the animals, the lack of sanitation meant that diseases are coming around more often, a problem that we're obviously still dealing with, especially, I mean, not just in the West. We're obviously dealing with that all over the world. Close confines in the city, epidemics spread faster. It's just farmers of the revolution had weaker bones and worse teeth than hunter-gatherers. Hunter-gatherers, again, they actually did not have it that bad. You were actually able to find what you needed because you would let the things regrow. You would go take the apple, you take a couple apples, leave the rest and let them get reseeded. You weren't consuming everything. You weren't hoarding things that you didn't need. So nature had enough. There was always enough. And then came, again, the agro, let's cut down everything. Let's build. Let's destroy everything in the name of success and making it easy, No. We were sold a lie, guys. Bones weekend, I mean, everything. Less reliance on the weeds. The weeds, again, think about the weeds. What is going to be the most prevalent thing that you could ever survive off of? Greens. It's like the healthiest food ever, and a good variety of it as you're walking along on a regular basis. This is why you don't need to actually fast. You can have green juice all the time. Feasting on green juice, go. Greens and lemons, citrus, throw it in there. Do it. These are the things you're going to find. If you're watching survival shows, if you're stuck on a deserted island, that's what you're going to find. You're not going to find a pig. You're not going to catch the squirrel first. You're going to gather everything. You're going to find hearts of palm. You're going to find carby roots if you know where to look. You know what I mean? And the less reliance on this type of thing, the weeds and the leafy greens, is going to help cause the getting shorter and the bones weaken. It's direct effects. In the same vein, drinking the milk from the livestock again could have also contributed to the weaker bones and the higher levels of osteoporosis that came after the agricultural revolution. Source 3 for those stats was Business Insider. Farming changed the human body forever, from 2015. Okay? So paleo. Everybody's talking about paleo. That kind of led to keto, and it's always like this recycled, sort of similar low-carb idea that would get passed around, but it was always meat-based. It was always like, eat meat, eat dairy. And that was, of course, promoted widely and undergroundedly by the meat and dairy industry, which is the part that I was so against for so long. But that's not the meat and the dairy that our body wants, as we've discussed here. It's the original foods, the fruits to a certain extent. Again, you're not having them all the time. You're not having a fruit as your main meal every single day, all day long, day in and out. That's not what was happening. Even in, and maybe there's times where you had a ton of excess of coconut, and then there's going to be other seasons where you have less. You're not going to have the same thing throughout the year either, all year, every year. There's going to be fluctuations. So mimicking that and allowing your body to eat seasonally near what's your location. Get in touch with the ground near you by eating the local foods that are grown near you in sustainable ways. It's going to feed your body. It's going to be the best it's going to be the best for your beauty and your body. It's just the best in so many ways. Okay, you're going to have this resonance and this tone with nature, again, which is kind of what we're going for. Okay, but you want to get back to these greens, these berries, these nuts, these seeds, these natural hunter-gatherer types of foods. Let's have a veggie soup, let's have a harvest meal. Okay, let's find some, and again, if you're having some starchy foods, yes, you might have some high carb meals, but it's going to have a lot of fiber. So actually, it's going to knock those carbs down because of the whole net carb idea. And when you're eating like unlimited carbs, you will be surprised how much fiber you're eating. So you're actually eating less carbs than you would think. You may think you're eating 300 grams of carbs in a day, or 400 grams of carbs. That's like a high carb thing. But if you count how much fiber you have, you could count hundreds of grams off, depending on what you're eating and how whole food plant-based you are. That's why the more whole food plant-based you are, the less carbs you're actually eating, because you're having more fiber. So you build up your fiber, you're actually eating lower carb than you're, because you can eat a lot of vegans. I mean, if you're like really actually whole food plant-based, you're eating hundreds of grams of fiber a day, and be used to it. Seriously, the meals I see people eat, some people wouldn't believe that, because most people eat like so little fiber, it's crazy, and so little potassium. Like 99 to 98 something % of people in this country do not get enough potassium. Like, good Lord, go eat some berries, eat some fruit. I don't care. Eat some of these great, you don't even have to have sugar fruits, bell peppers, avocados, like so many carrots, like even just regular peppers, like hot peppers. Okay. We've had variety our whole history. It's only up until recent history that we've stopped eating these wide varieties of food and having this variation of season, famine, feast and famine, naturally on a smaller scale. They had, again, this feast and famine idea for a hunter-gatherer. They were doing all right. If they had a fast, it was going to be an intermittent fast. They didn't, unless it was a true starvation, they were doing all right. And you can see that by looking at the indigenous cultures. They're not starving. They're doing just fine. They're making a way, by the resources that they have. So it's the true original paleo diet that we should be thinking of is not what has been marketed to us by the meat and dairy industry. And you got to be careful about them pushing their stuff. But everything, again, this is necessary for climate change, for the survival of our species on Earth. The Earth is going to get rid of us. Look at the tick that causes veganism. Is that not Mother Nature saying go vegan? It's hilarious. I mean, it's so obvious. People try to argue that they'll argue one specific claim that they maybe heard, and they'll be like, oh, that's a good argument for all arguments, ecological arguments against veganism. No, veganism is good for the planet on every single level. If you look at groundwater, if you look at land, earth water, earth topsoil loss, it's a problem. Aquifer dam, being lost. What are those? Guess what? All the water loss is being caused for. Livestock hurts the earth in every single freaking way. It pollutes the air, the land, the water, the wildlife. It causes wildlife biodiversity. When you go to the zoo and every single animal says this one's endangered, this one's threatened, blah 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 blah, that can be directly affected if we all went vegan. Okay, it again pollutes everything. Land degradation, land use. There's no way to feed everybody on a meat-based diet. It's an elitist thing that, especially if you're looking at grass-fed beef, totally elitist. Okay, and it's causing the destruction of forests across the world at an unprecedented scale, which is what is helping us cause this problem. That is making the earth want to make a tick or an adaptation, have a tick cause us to stop eating meat. That is not an accident. And this is, again, everything happens for a reason. It's just like Avatar, and that's where I get my hope. Everything's just gonna work out eventually. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this one up. We'll be right back.